Hello. This is going to be my individual video submission for WebDev 342 Spring 26. My name is Israel, and our project was a digital closet app. And I did a lot of the engineering on the team. I did the front end, I did the back end, and I did the GitHub development as well as the deployment approach. So I did do a lot, maybe a little more than I should have, but the GitHub and the peer review forum will speak for itself. So let's just get started with it because I only have 5 minutes. The first thing I'm going to do is just talk about the GitHub. So I initialized GitHub. I made this backend folder and the front end folder so that we can have the whole full stack project in the same repository without any issue. And then I was using branches and pull requests as my main development approach, and I was getting the whole team to do this as well. So when before everything was a coupled full stack app, I had three main branches. I had my main, my backend, and my front end. And then once the backend and the front end kind of started talking to each other, that didn't really work anymore. And then I went for a different approach where every branch I added was a feature that I wanted to get added. So like when I was adding authentication, I was just working in the authentication branch. Once I was ready with that, I would open something called the pull request. You can see we have 9 closed. And then the pull request, it would check any merge conflicts. If there were any merge conflicts or anything, I would kind of sort those out. And then once it was ready to merge, I would go ahead and merge it. And then the authentication features would just go into main. Like, so yeah, there was that. I mean, I probably saw I think there was something that was here, but it doesn't matter. The next thing I have is GitHub Actions, which is a CI/CD pipeline, continuous integration, continuous development. Nothing too crazy. It basically just means that every time we make a commit, we have to pass all the test cases that we pre-wrote. So they're kind of just like safety checks and safety nets that we incorporate just so we never break anything that enters main. So we have to pass our front end test cases, our back end test cases, and then our Vercel just build compilation. And then forgive me if I'm a little sniffly or anything. I don't know if you can see my eyes are a little I had a really bad allergic reaction this morning, but you know, the assignments due, so we push on. The next thing we have is we have two deployment branches. We have production and preview. This is just something given to you by Vercel. So I can check things in the preview branch, see how they are in a production like environment before I actually move it to production. And that about wraps up everything on the GitHub. The next things are deployment. Our front end is deployed on Vercel. I really like Vercel for front end. It's really good for React projects. You can get a custom domain, just it'll handle the DNS. You can enable web analytics. Like I said, I have the preview deployment here. The one thing I did want to note is that I actually also integrated the analytics API from Vercel. So you see, as our page views, our how many visitors, our bounce rate, et cetera, et cetera. You can see where our users are coming from. We have OAuth in the application, so this will make more sense in a bit, right? But this is a really cool one I want to show is that we can see what pages people are landing on, right? So like, for example, we have 31 visitors, but only 24 of them are hitting the actual homepage. What does that tell you? That tells you that people are either just clicking off right away and never really getting registered, or like more meaningfully, it tells you that 7 people did not sign up for the app, right? 31 visitors, only 24 actually hit the homepage, and that's blocked by authentication. So 70 people, I don't know why this doesn't say 30. Oh, that's sign in. Okay, right. So 70 people just never hit the homepage. And like if you're charging people for an app or something like that, that's pretty insightful stuff. And that is totally worth the time it took me to integrate this API. I just wanted to show that. I think it's really cool, really easy to set up, would really recommend it. And then for the back end, I use Render. Definitely don't have nearly as many nice things to say here. We were using the free tier and Render has cold start, which is really bad for UX. It can take up to like a minute to load up on, if it is a cold start, right? But just set up your keys, the backend servers on here, nothing too crazy. Yeah, and then obviously our database is on MongoDB. We also have a bucket and we have some other APIs I'll integrate. I'll show those in a sec, but I just want to get started with the user flow. The first thing I want to show is the sign up screen. We can obviously use, let's actually do, we love justice, justice.eu, right? Then we can say we make a really secure account, really nice password. What we'll do is that it'll try to create an account. And what it will do is it's actually going to, oh wow, it knows it's not a, There we go. It's going to send a verification email to that email we just put. So obviously I can't use this account because, you know, anyways, doesn't matter. But we also have OAuth, and because we're using a service called Clerk over here, these are all our members that have created an account in Clerk. Clerk is just like a middleware API for authentication. Authentication is a really popular problem. It's been done a million times and it's been done really well. Don't reinvent the wheel, just use it. So yeah, so if I go ahead and log in just through Google, you can see I'll be able to access my account. And unfortunately, we did hit a render cold start. So while it does that, I'm just gonna pause this. Okay, we're back. Everything loaded. It took about a minute, that's what I'm saying. I don't really like render, but you can see we have our homepage, which is just our dashboard. We have our outfits page, which is just, all the clothes items that we have and stuff. And then we have or closet page, and then we have our outfits page where we can actually make outfits. The first feature I want to show is just adding a piece of clothing. Okay, so we uploaded an outfit and you can see that it's removing the background. We wanted to connect this to an API, but we just couldn't find one with like a nice free tier. So we're doing it natively just on the CPU with a NPM library called Imagely. Then you can see it just applied our AI autofill feature. So this is two features in one. First is the background removal, and then for the AI autofill, I'm actually connected to Google Gemini. So it's an LLM call. Right. So LLMs are notoriously good at text, but they're also really good at images. It's probably their second best domain. So we just feed it the image to a really lightweight model. We're using Gemini 2.5 Flash, stupid cheap, stupid fast. You can see it auto title, auto categorize, and it will add some relevant text. So we do that. Gets added, and then it'll actually get added to an S3 bucket on AWS. To make this bucket, I did have to set up an IAM profile, which is just like in AWS, you basically have your root user, and then you create sub-users from that root user that have explicit permissions just for like the sake of security. So I have to set up that user, give it a custom JSON policy to be able to have, permissions to write and read from the database and such, or the bucket, right? So there's that, it's so, like I said, background removal, Google Gemini, S3, AWS. Right. The next feature I want to show is how we actually make outfits. You can see we have this canvas pinboard. I actually already have an outfit here that I'll just use. We have this wedding outfit, right? So you can see you can just pull things from here and it'll just be in this. You can scale them up, you can rotate them, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So this is this wedding outfit. Like I said, you can just title it, you can add some tags, and then if it's really, really nice, you can put it on your favorite. And then once it's on your favorite, if you go to your profile, you can see it'll be here in your favorite. Profile screen, pretty self-explanatory. You have account management stuff, your PFP. Let's say I don't like this sad dog. I want a cool smiley face. Save that. Now my profile is a cool smiley face. Right. So I think that covers everything here. Let's say it's worth showing is probably just like our backend. So all of our files are just, the simple actual structuring of the post and get request. Like you can see, this is how we update the users. You just get an ID and you update that user, and then clothing and stuff like that. Basic CRUD endpoints, to be honest. Right. And then our models they're implemented as TypeScript interfaces. We're also using TypeScript for the entire project. I don't like JavaScript. We're using TypeScript. So, these are how our schemas are implemented. And then our controllers are essentially just helper functions for the actual application of these endpoints and schemas. I just want to show that because it's very clean. It's a very scalable like architecture. I think it's pretty standard. Like I did not get confused looking at my own code or anything like that. And then for the front end, I guess I'll do that while I'm here. It's a very similar story where, our components are usually separated by UI, like, things like buttons, modals, things like that are kind of just put in here. And then our pages are their own thing. And then obviously they're all organized in like sub domains, all our auth screens are here, all of our user screens are here, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It's really nothing too crazy, but I just did want to show it to show that, our code base is clean. We're doing everything right. And I think, yeah, that about covers it. Honestly, I think our project idea is relatively simple. It's just like a basic CRUD app, and I just added like a tiny little bit of like LLM integration, barely. But I think just everything here is done super well. I'm pretty proud of the project. I think, we have our deployment is clean. We have CI/CD. Our development is clean. We're using things at scale with like AWS infrastructure. We have our API key set up, everything like that. And That about sums up my contributions to the project. Again, I handle deployment, front end, back end, and some of the GitHub integration. And yeah, that about summarizes everything I have. All right, thank you.